Do you know who's outstanding in his field? The farmer. This is the type of choice wisdom that my Grandpa Jack offered my mother as she grew up. He would often chase her around the house in the mornings when she took a little too long getting out of bed, shaving cream all over his face, saying, "Give Dad a kiss." She hopped out of bed really quick. He'd come in from his job as an auto mechanic, covered in grease and sweat, and grab my Uncle Glenn, put his head under his arm and say, "Aren't I strong?" For me, he's become a bit of a legendary figure. I got to hear all these great stories growing up, and they really touched me. He's also legendary because I never knew him. On the day of my parents' wedding, my grandfather Jack had a heart attack, and he passed away the next day. He meant so much to my mother, to my father, to my uncles. I'm named for him. I wasn't the first grandchild on that side of the family. There is a cousin Jack who was named directly for my grandfather Jack. But my mother wanted to honor him. Didn't want to have another Jack though. Jeremy. I try to lead my life by his example because the way he's portrayed by my mom is that he was just this wonderful, larger-than-life character. So funny, so warm, so surprising. He'd bring home random animals to the house. Guinea pigs, dogs. My grandmother was not an animal person. Let me make that clear. So it always fell on my Grandpa Jack, my mother, my Uncle Glenn, and my Uncle Alan to take care of these animals, with mostly success. But occasionally, the animals didn't always stick around the house. For many years now, my Grandpa Jack has actually caused a bit of a schism between my mother and her mother. My grandmother, by the time I was born, had actually married another man named Jerry. Very nice man. Treated me very much like a grandson. Treated all of his step-grandchildren as his biological grandchildren. While being slightly crotchety, he was a very genuine man, and he was always my grandfather. My grandmother took his last name, and she became Deborah Schwartz, which was my Grandpa Jack's last name, Lustig. Lustig was my step-grandfather's last name. Then she took her third husband's last name and became Deborah Lustig Ozer. The Schwartz all of a sudden disappeared. This did not make my mother happy. She vows that she can be whoever she wants while she's alive, but she's going to be buried as Deborah Schwartz. Her father just meant so much to her. And in some ways it feels like a betrayal, because my grandmother almost never talks about my grandfather. Of all the people who talk about what a great guy he was, my uncles, my mother, my father, I don't get to hear much about my Grandpa Jack or my grandmother. I wonder sometimes if it's due to the fact that he made friends so easily. Everybody loved him. My parents talk about how my grandfather Aaron, my biological grandfather on my father's side, quickly bonded with my Grandpa Jack. Leading up to the wedding, they were running around together, running errands for the wedding. Everywhere they could go together, they were. Two peas in a pod they became. He just made fast friends. It's who he was. My grandmother always seems to know people wherever she goes. She's one of those people who could go to Mars and know somebody. Oh, we need to go see blah, 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 blah. But while she has lots of friends, it doesn't ever feel like she has a lot of real friends. Sometimes I wonder if she resents my Grandpa Jack for his ability to just have people love him. But But it could just be that it hurts too much to talk about how much he meant to her, to have lost him so young. And maybe she just resents him for leaving her. Personally, I just try to lead my life by his example. I try to be funny, which is why I'm doing this humorously speaking manual, so I can take after him in that way. I try to be nice, and my wife always tells me, "Why are you so nice?" My parents raised me to be nice, and because my grandpa Jack was so nice. I try to be surprising. My wife found flowers on Valentine's Day delivered to her office. She was supposed to be out of town. She told me I didn't need to get her flowers, but she still got them. My wife assures me, though, that in one way I'm already very much like my grandfather Jack. When I come in sweaty, I'm very strong.